The poet has provided Lady Lazarus with a deliberately enigmatic opening. The poem begins with an excited declaration: I have done it again. What is this it? We do not know. The poet wants us to raise the tension, the level of tension in the mind of the reader, the level of suspense in the mind of the reader. We think that we will come to know what this it is when we read the lines that follow, but it is not so. The lines that follow amplify on the message conveyed by the first line, but all that they say is that the speaker does it once every 10 years. The speaker has done it now, and the speaker is in the habit of managing it once in every 10 years. But again, what is this it? There is no answer. All that we get is a long dash. The long dash at the end of the last line, the first answer, at the end of the first answer, raises our expectations, raises our sense of expectation about what this it is. It certainly must be a very important thing, but we don't know what that it is. It is only after we read the lines that follow, the stanzas that follow, that we understand that it refers to suicide. Sylvia Plath had a lifelong affair with death, and this famous poem is an immortal monument to that love affair. Sylvia was not a stranger to death even as a child. Biographers tell us that her first encounter with death was at the age of 10, at the tender age of 10, at the age of 10 years, when she almost died in a drowning accident. It is known as the swimming accident or the swimming incident in the life of Sylvia Plath. In the years that followed, recent biographers tell us that there were numerous attempts to kill herself on the part of Sylvia. Actually, I feel that the second line of the poem, 1 year in every 10, is misleading, because it was not once in every 10 years that in real life Sylvia Plath attempted suicide. It would have been better if she had written 1 month in every 10. There were numerous attempts on the part of Sylvia Plath to harm herself, sometimes even to end her life. She would slash her wrists, she would cut her face, she would drive off the road and thus engineer an accident. And while a college student, she took an overdose of sleeping pills and hid herself in the cellar. So we have numerous incidents in the short life of Sylvia Plath in which Sylvia Plath came face to face with death. I think that Sylvia first caught glimpse of death when she almost died in the swimming incident. She came face to face with death. She saw death with her own eyes, and she discovered that death is a handsome man. She conducted a lifelong romance with death, and that romance ended only when she committed suicide at the young age of 31 and thus united with her lover. Lady Lazarus was written in 1962, late 1962. The same year, Sylvia Plath was invited by BBC to read the poem. She recorded the poem for BBC and included an introduction to the poem. I would like to read to you a couple of sentences from this introduction. This is what Sylvia Plath says. I quote, "The speaker is a woman who has the great and terrible gift of being reborn. The only trouble is she has to die first." Unquote. When we read the next two stanzas, we get a better picture, at least a slightly better picture of what it is. The speaker is presently a walking miracle. She died and she has now come back to life, and hence now she is a walking miracle. Then there are references to the Holocaust. The Holocaust was the state sponsored genocide of Jews in Hitler's Germany and in the other countries controlled by Hitler between 1941 and 1945. It has been estimated that more than 6 million Jews perished in the Holocaust. That is about two-thirds of the Jews of Europe, two-thirds of the population of the Jews of Europe was wiped out. The speaker says that her skin is like a Nazi lampshade. The Jews were not merely killed, the Jews were not merely put to death. Various parts of their bodies were taken and utilized to create objects. For example, the skin would be peeled off to create lampshades. The speaker says that right now she feels as if her skin is a Nazi lampshade. Similarly, her right foot feels very heavy. It is like a paper weight. Her face is like a featureless Jew linen. This could be a reference to the linen traded by the Jews. The linen trade in Europe at one time was largely in the hands of Jews. What is the poet trying to convey here? That she is feeling physically very uncomfortable, that she is feeling physically miserable after the botched suicide attempt. She tried to kill herself and she has now come back to life and she is presently hence a walking miracle. But that is not the full story. She suffers physically as a result of her failed suicide attempt.